Everyone. Welcome to BMA's online training and glad to see you all here today. I want to just let you know as we step it into the summer, we've just finished an 8-week action plan that we've walked through several different stages. And I know oftentimes when that happens, we feel super overwhelmed. And so I want you to know that whether you've been with us every single week or you still feel like you're trying to catch up, this is for you. So we want to make sure that you recognize that you are not behind. You're where you need to be to move forward in the process. So hello to Susan and to Anne. Thank you for being here. Okay, so today we're going to go all the way back to week 1. And we've been talking a little bit about that in the Facebook group so that you're able to kind of start remembering where you've been and where your focus needs to be. I think that oftentimes you may, if you take a step back and look at where you are, you will recognize that you are way more visible than you realize. The work that you've done in the past and in the last even 8 weeks, the conversations that you've had, the people that you've met, the places you've been, the heart that you have for it, it's not invisible. It is something that you are building, and it is definitely something that is real and will take you to the next level. So I'm going to share with you a couple points today and then engage in some questions that we're going to talk about during our coaching time on Saturday. So here is point number 1. Do not underestimate your presence. Don't underestimate it. It's still working. Most authors only think about visibility in terms of things like big numbers, like how many social media followers you have, or how many podcast downloads, or perhaps your email list size. But that's not the only way that your presence is built. Here's the truth. If someone knows your name and associates it with perhaps hope, your story, some truth that you teach, a healing that you've experienced, you have already started marketing. So think about someone who launched a children's book and they feel discouraged because they have perhaps a low Instagram follower count. But one day at church, a woman comes up to her and says, "My granddaughter loved your book. She made me read it 3 times." So that one encounter reminds Amy, our author, that her reach wasn't just online. It's in living rooms. It's in bedroom routines. It's in or bedtime routines. It's in the hearts and lives of the people who have your books. So presence isn't just measured in metrics. It's measured by the impact that you are making. So look to where people are interacting with your story. Number 2, in-person influence still matters. So have you spoken at perhaps a Bible study or a small group at your church? Have you shared one of your devotionals that you've written with a friend? Has someone told you that your story helped me? That actually counts. In-person presence is still, and I believe it is the most powerful. It's rooted in trust. It builds momentum faster than any algorithm on your Facebook or Instagram account could. So think about someone who has a book about ministry, and they really thought it was going to take off online, but most of the traction comes from perhaps a different source. Perhaps you have a ministry book and your men's Bible study did it, and they worked their way through it. And one by one, the men in that study kept asking for copies to give to their brother, to their coworker, to their small group leaders, to the people they work with, to the people that they live next to. And that particular author perhaps sold more books at the breakfast table than any paid ad could ever sell. So don't ignore your in-person circles. They are often your most loyal advocates. And we know word of mouth is huge when we want to get our book out there. Point number 3, every connection counts. Oftentimes we overlook those people that are in our circle, the people that I just talked about, perhaps in your church community, in your workplace, your family, readers who message you privately, and even a Facebook group member that never, ever comments. I don't know how many times I will get a connection with someone and they tell me how much they follow me on Facebook. I never see them interact. So you never know who is going to be part of your connection piece. You may post on Facebook in your group even for months with very little engagement until one day you get that private message from someone. Christina Custodio, she would tell you all about that as she blogs every single day. They may say to you, I've never commented on your posts, but I've shared them. They've helped me through perhaps a really challenging situation, maybe a divorce that I was walking through and that grieving process. And so we recognize then that our words are landing on people that we don't even recognize. One of the things that I've noticed that is happening even with our Redemption Press posting. So Shelley Brown started posting every single day consistently on our Redemption Press page on both Instagram and on Facebook. And we were at Maureen Miller's house, and she was talking about how every single day she saves the graphic. I don't know if Maureen actually interacts with the post, but that in-person interaction reminded us how important it is for us to just continue to show up. People are watching and listening, even when they are silent. All right, point number 4. You have more platforms than you think. Present just isn't more posts. It's also things like, now get this, we've talked about this, your email signature. Your email signature is powerful. Make sure you have something that works really well with your picture on it and a contact information besides email, a place for them to know a little bit more about who you are. Your Amazon author page, take advantage of that when your book gets out. Be able to continue to update it and connect the different products that you have, compilations, anything that you are a part of. Maybe even a video, perhaps it's on YouTube, that you forgot that you even uploaded. Or maybe you had a coloring sheet, Anne, that someone printed and shared with their friends, or perhaps you have a children's book and they printed and shared with a teacher. Sometimes we forget about the things that we have out there. And then all of a sudden we recognize, oh, that YouTube video that I put up 2 years ago has 2,300 views. How do I keep leveraging something that is already there? So start where you're already standing. Don't overlook what's already working for you. Point number 5, take inventory of your influence. Take 10 minutes. And we've done this before, but if you haven't done it yet, take some time to really list out all of those places where you have influence. Where do you show up when you're online? Who have you served? What places have you forgotten to count that you actually have a circle of people, a circle of friendship that you can recognize? It isn't about an ego and having the most. It's about stewarding those particular places the best that we can. Think about it before launching your book. Maybe sit down and list all those places that you got to share or interact with people in 1 year. Perhaps it's in your church small groups. Maybe you got to give a testimony at MOPS or a parenting podcast that you were on. Maybe you even were attending a PTA meeting at your kid's school. So all of those places are opportunities for us to continue to reconnect. Your influence is probably wider than you think. It just needs to be gathered. So get all those into one place and then steward it intentionally. 2 more. Point 6. Own your impact. Don't hide in plain sight. There's no shame in small beginnings, and there is power in small, faithful beginnings. It's not a season that we want to doubt what God has us saying. It's a season to really own the message that God has for us and leverage it one connection at a time. Sometimes we get a little off when someone calls us an author and we're like, us, an author? But sometimes we get the reminder that our book actually is making an impact in someone's life and that we are an author that God has called to share our message. So don't minimize the impact that you have. What you are doing is already changing lives. And number 7, you're already on the map. So let's mark the territory. All right, so what does that mean? It means that the challenge that we just did in those 8 weeks wasn't just about doing, it was about discovering. Now that you've assessed where you are, it's really time this summer to start building from that place of clarity. And if you haven't yet discovered where you are, perhaps you need to take a step back and rewatch some of those teachings. Go all the way back to number 1, where we really started to look at those places where we are already showing up. You don't need to build from scratch. You need to build from what's already working. So today, as we start this process this summer of putting together and launching that plan for your summer schedule, for your inbox that perhaps may be full of ideas, remember these 3 things. Where are you already showing up? Who already knows your name? And what platform already has your voice on it? Be thinking through those things as we step into Saturday, when we are just going to kind of bring it all together so you know that place of focus and can kind of determine what steps you've already made so that the next step doesn't seem so far away. Now I'm going to give you a little preview of what Saturday is going to look like. We're going to talk about, I believe there's 6 different questions, but I'm going to give you a couple of them today so you can start thinking about it. Number 1, what is the number 1 result you would like to see by the end of the summer? If there's one thing that you would like to move the needle forward on, let's go ahead and talk about that one thing. Now, you might have 2 because we talked about having a primary and a secondary thing. So think through, where is it that I really want to have my focus be? And then once we know where that is, we can see what you have in place and what holes are missing. So what area that you already are, perhaps, has the highest potential to move the needle forward with the least amount of resistance? Where is it that you already have potential? Don't try and start from scratch. We've been talking about it for the last 8 weeks. Figure out that place that you feel like God is being able to grow within your platform, and let's start there. So Kathy says, I'm building, let's see, I'll pull it up for us. I'm building what I can, so when I finally get a web page and the other things I need to have a central business hub, then I will be prepared and can quickly put them into effect. Very good. That is something that is very tangible. And as you determine what exactly is going on your web page, then you're able to kind of take the step back and determine either how you need to create it or how you will be able to leverage it. So those are the types of things that we want to talk about on Saturday and really brainstorm together ways to continue to move this needle forward. So at the end of the summer, you will have seen forward movement in the platform area that you have. The third question we're going to answer, and that is, what is the biggest barrier to moving forward consistently? What is that thing that always stands in the way? And even as you started 8 weeks ago and you said, this is where I'm going to focus, but you kept hitting the wall, what was it that made you hit the wall continuously as you tried to take the next step? Let's tackle that on Saturday and determine how we can overcome those barriers. So I'm looking forward to these conversations that we're going to have. And we know that if God has given us a message, that it does indeed matter and that we are to steward it well. So let's support each other and encourage each other and continue the path together. So Anne asked me, what time is the call on Saturday? It is on Zoom at 9 a.m. Pacific. It is on my calendar, so I will not forget. I will put these questions in a PDF for you or in a Word doc so you can start working through them so that when we come together, we are able to really tackle some of the things that you are struggling with so that we can move forward together. There is so much expertise, not only on our team, but within each author that is part of Book Marketing Pro Academy. And so we are able to come together and help each other as we move our needle forward. So thanks for joining me today. Good to see you all, Anne and Kathy and Susan and Rob. I love spending time with you and can't wait till Saturday. And remember, we actually do have another webinar tomorrow that me, Sarah, and Shelly are going to be on all together. And we're going to teach you how to use a very important piece of your marketing that you receive from Redemption Press when you publish with us. And if you don't have it because you're published with someone else, you can create your own, and we'll tell you what parts and elements you will need for that. So see you tomorrow, and thanks for joining me.